Okay, I'm moving to order at 6:05 here. And I think so.
You're welcome. Sure.
All who want to say the Pledge of Allegiance? Do so. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, the next order of business is to approve the approval of the minutes of January 18th, 2024. I will abstain from the vote since I was not present at the meeting, but I think I'm the only person who was present at that meeting. I think everyone else was. So, do I have a motion?
One moment.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was pointed out that there's one typo, a name is misspelled in here, so I think that we can just say that we're gonna amend it and then you can vote on it as so amended. Is that correct? Do you guys know?
Yeah, we just make the motion in the second and then comment and then approve.
Okay, so one employee name is spelled misspelled.
Okay,
I'll second.
Barbara seconds. Okay, and you said there was, as discussion, there's an amendment to the minutes?
Yep, just Michelle Boydell's name was misspelled. It's
What
on
section is that?
page 3,
Okay,
and it's in under the committee reports right near the top. Then there is Boydele, and it's her last name is spelled differently.
Can you spell it?
Yep, it's Beutel.
okay.
T as in Tom.
Yes.
And with that amendment, is there any further discussion about the minutes? Now, I will abstain from this vote since I wasn't present, but all present, who were present at the meeting, please signify by saying your consent. By saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous with one abstention. Okay, is there a public input session?
I don't have any comments to offer right now. I haven't received anything. Can you use that ready to speak?
Yeah, a few things. I was at the last meeting, and just to follow up on a few things that I had to say about, back in January, at the January meeting. Some follow-up regarding the book sale that I had some comments on. Now, the book sale that took place, used to take place before the renovation, back in 2019, 2018. And it was held about once a month on a Saturday. And it was very popular. It ran from about 10 o'clock until 4 in the afternoon. And it was well attended. There'll probably be about 25 people waiting to get in at 10 o'clock. And it brought in about $25,000 a year, which I thought was a good thing. I didn't see anything negative about it as, you know, a person who lives in Gilroy. And third grade arithmetic, you know, every 4 years, that's $100,000. Every 10 years, that's $250,000 just for a book sale at the Gilroy Library. So we did the renovation and then we opened back up and there was no book sale that took place in 2022. So I wanted to find out why, and I ran into Tim last summer on a Sunday here. And I asked Tim, I said, what about the book sale? And he said, well, we can't do it anymore because we don't have volunteers. Okay. So I said to him, I thought it was a bad idea to stop the book sale, but he told me, you know, you can't please everybody, which is true. So I ended the conversation with Tim by saying that I thought he violated one of life's basic rules, which is if it's not broken, don't fix it. So that was the end of our conversation and pretty much the end of, you know, the situation. But I found it somewhat unbelievable that in a town of about 35,000 people that we couldn't get volunteers. So I thought that would be the end of it, but it turned out not to be the end of it because later in the year, probably last October, I ran into one of the ladies that was working on the book sale. And I went up to her and I said, it's too bad that we can't have the book sale anymore because we can't get volunteers. And she told me that wasn't true. She said, I'm still willing to volunteer and the library's aware that I'm still willing to volunteer. So I said, okay, that's interesting. About 3 weeks later, I run into another woman that I recognized that worked on the book sale. I said, can I ask you a question? I said, if those book sales were still taking place, would you still be volunteering? Absolutely. That's true. I got a third one that took place about 2 weeks before Christmas, 2 months ago. And same thing, the lady said, yeah, I'd be willing to volunteer. So I said, well, what's the real reason? She said, well, we don't really know. Okay, we just think that the library is not focused on bringing the book sale back, which I think is a bad idea because of things I just laid out. So there's an argument that can be made that the book sales really aren't that important. You can run a library without a book sale, but I thought it was something that was good for the community, plus it brought in a lot of money. But when you think about this library, there's a lot of things in this library that are nice to have, but aren't necessary, such as the fish tank, which is really nice. But with the fish tank comes, I think it's a big item from a standpoint of maintenance. I thought when the library first opened up after the pandemic, that the fish tank would be maintained by the library staff. But somebody corrected me when I was talking to somebody in the library, and they said, oh, that ship tank, to maintain it is contracted out to a third party. So I don't know anything about maintaining fish tanks, but it's probably quite a bit of money, more than like $3 or $4 or $5 or $600 a year to maintain it. But so be it. So the fish tank is what it is, and it's a nice fish tank, but you don't need it to run a library. And you don't need a fireplace to run a library, and you don't need automated book return to run a library, and you really don't need a cafe to run a library. But they're all nice to have. So the bottom line, I just think it's a bad look for the library to have gotten rid of the book sale. Okay, and that's really the end of my speech on the book sale. Okay, but I think it's a bad look to have gotten rid of the book sale. I thought it was a very nice, and the ladies that ran it were, yeah, they did an excellent job, and it was well maintained, and it brought in a lot of money. Plus, there really shouldn't be any problem with getting volunteers. 35,000 people who live in the town of Government. So that's really my speech on the book sale. I've got a couple more things that I'd like to talk about, and it won't take very long. I know I talked about the Helderberg room being too small. There was a handout back in 2019 that the library put together regarding the library renewal plan. It talked about a lot of things based on the fact that the library is simply running out of room, which is why you did the renovation. But in this handout, there's a picture of an event taking place in the Helderberg room. And it's an overflow event, so a lot of people have to sit out in the hallway on chairs because the Helderberg room isn't big enough to accommodate the event. And it's the before image, like this is the image that was used as part of the sales pitch to give us enough money to renovate the library. But I attended the Christmas concert 2 months ago, and it was still an overflow crowd. So the before image and the after image is the same image, even though you spent $9 million to upgrade the library. Now, I know a lot of other things got done. There's a terrific children's space and a teenage space, et cetera. But I just found it it's just not a good look from the standpoint of, you still had the same problem with the Helderberg Library. And I think I mentioned at the last meeting that it would have been nice if you could move that front wall out about 30 feet, and you could expand the size of the Helderberg room. But obviously that didn't happen. So that's my point there. Just a couple other things. Well, just an observation. In the January newsletter, there was a statement in there that said that the library hours were expanded in 2023. And that didn't make sense to me. This is just an observation. It's not a complaint. But as I understand it, earlier in 2023, the library would close at 9 o'clock Monday through Thursday, and now you're backed off to 8 o'clock. For good reason, I guess nobody was showing up after 8 o'clock. But if somebody could explain to me how the library hours were expanded in 2023, let me know. That's just a minor point. And my last point is, I mentioned last time I was here in January that I thought it would be nice if we could do Christmas decorations and Hanukkah decorations in the month of December. And you do lights in the front of the building, but it'd be nice to have like a wreath in the front of the building. It'd be nice to have a couple of Christmas trees in the library and some decorations. I'm not looking for thousands of dollars. I'm just talking probably a few $100s to do it. And, you know, I'm not looking for it to look like the inside of Macy's at Herald Square in December, but you walk in the library here and you wouldn't even know it's Christmas time or Hanukkah time. And it's my understanding that it's at the discretion of the director. So we're gonna get a new director in the next 3 or 4 months, right? So maybe there's a possibility that in December we could see Christmas decorations and Hanukkah decorations. I'm just throwing that out there for what it's worth. That's all I have.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
So I have a question. So this gentleman has offered these observations before, and the response was deferred. What is the protocol? When and how do we respond to his observations?
We had a 2-hour long phone call where I addressed all the questions.
This was between the
Yep,
two of you?
Yep, and that's not typical to do. Usually it's public comment, and we'll acknowledge that we heard it and received, but I personally decided to follow up on it, but that's just not our protocol to.
But so, in other words, so did you feel that these were at least addressed?
Oh, yeah. I just didn't see I didn't agree with, and this is not a disagreement with Elise. I
Right.
mean, she did her due diligence.
And
To her,
beyond?
to her credit. Okay, we had a nice conversation on the telephone. But the response from the library when you asked them, how come you got rid of the book sale? Is, well, we just can't get enough volunteers. And that's absolutely false. Okay? Because I just talked to 3 women who worked on the book sale. I don't even know these women from a standpoint. I don't know where they live. I don't know what their phone number is. But by chance, I ran into them in the library last, October through December. I ran into 3 of them. And all 3, because I recognize them. I didn't really know their names. And I said, what's the story with the book sale? I said, like I said, the first lady I ran into, I said, it's too bad we can't get volunteers.
I just wanted to make sure that you weren't dropping coins in an empty well. You did get a response and went well beyond what would normally be the board's requirements. So I just wanted to make sure.
Elise, to her
Yeah.
credit, she did her due diligence.
Okay, good.
Some of the answers I disagree with.
I
because-
understand.
No, I don't disagree with her personally.
I just
but-
wanted to make sure that
Oh, yeah,
there
no,
wasn't
no,
silence.
No, it's not.
Okay.
There wasn't silence.
Thank you.
Ray, I have a question. Does it state in that brochure from the referendum that the cafe was planned to be used for
Yes.
used book sales?
I'm sorry?
Does it say in there that the plan was to use the cafe for used book sales?
Yes, it says incorporating a coffee shop and used bookstore, okay? But the used bookstore doesn't come close to replacing the event, which was a book sale that took place one Saturday a month. And it was organized, because that was an event that was advertised, would be for sale signs up by Western Avenue for the upcoming Saturday, and then people would come in. Because, see, what you have now is you have parts of books out there in the hallway, but you always had that. Before the library was renovated, when you came in the library and went through the 2 sliding doors, it's been remodeled now, because now you go through the sliding doors and you're going right into the automated book return there. And then you turn left and go in the library. But before that, there were shelves there that held books all the time that you could pick up and go pay for one. I think the most expensive book was $1. Some of them were 50 cents. So you always had that. And the what's the same kind of thing now are those carts of books that sit in the hallway. And I guess there's a small little room in a cafe that has used books. But to me, that's comparable to what you had before with those shelves that were there every day the library was open. So but to answer your question, yeah, this was mentioned in the renewal.
Right. So you're talking about in addition,
But I'm
having the
talking, but
monthly books.
there's nothing that takes the place of the book sale. I mean, there were, well, I could keep talking, but the book sale is, it's dead. Okay. And what's taking place now with used books is not a replacement for the book sale. You're not doing anything now that's gonna bring in $25,000. But, and again, I know you don't do book sales to bring in the money, that's like a side effect, that's a side bonus. I mean, you run book sales because, people come out of the woodwork to attend book sales. That's in my opinion. I mean, I didn't attend every single book sale that was held here, but I probably attended 3/4 of them. And every time I came, they were excellent in terms of how they were run. And there were people lined up waiting to get in. And throughout the day, every book sale brought in hundreds of dollars. Translates into roughly 25,000 dollars a year. And they were good. I'm in favor of it. And I've talked to a lot of people in the last 2 years, and I say a lot of people, not 500 people, but probably 25 people in the last 2 years. And we get talking about the library, and it's kind of like, what happened to our book sale? And I said, well, it's evaporated. No longer takes place.
Are there any further comments or public input session number 1? Hearing none. Let's go on to personnel actions.
So we have a quick comment before we move on to personnel actions.
Okay.
We don't have copies of the MOA and it hasn't been signed. And I think we need to get that done real quick before we can do the personnel actions. I don't think the MOA is included in the packet.
So I didn't see one, so I didn't include it in the packet.
Okay, that's okay. Do you know if there's anybody back there that can print if I send it to them? Like, is there anybody here in the library?
I can look back.
Oh, okay. John, if I send this to you, will you just print out copies for us?
Sure.
I appreciate it. Thank
Got
you.
How many copies?
I don't like 10, 12. Well, yeah.
So should we defer the personnel action then until we get the copies?
I would recommend it because I don't think we can do that appointment, that interim appointment until that is, the board agrees on the MOA.
Or you might want to send a copy to Barb also, since she's not gonna have a physical.
Oh, yeah.
She might have it.
Oh, and I don't have a final date in here.
I know that we have an
But
executive
it was-
session. Maybe we should, while we're waiting for the MOA to be copies, maybe we should just skip down to the treasurer's report.
What, we never dated it. Still has January blank. But now it's getting signed now, so it doesn't matter. I'll just date it today.
Yeah.
Just put the date in. Do we have a treasurer's report?
We do, but the treasurer isn't here. So if we could actually go to executive session, could we do that? Because that's what's next on this and then come out of it and go into personnel actions?
Okay.
Because Sean's gonna be coming back into the room though with Prince, do you want to do my report during this time period?
It doesn't matter. I can grab them from that, whatever you guys want to do.
Sure, you can do your report.
Certainly
I mean, I don't think we need to go immediately into executive session. We're waiting for the design.
Yeah. So, hopefully you got a chance to read the written report, but basically January was a very intense month for us here. We were very, very busy. We had lots of usage of the library. As you can see from the statistics, we're back to pre-pandemic levels for this time of year. And of course, we were preparing for Tim's exit, so there was a lot of internal work going on to get ready for that transition that was happening. We also had a very large collections project that was underway, so major kudos to our pages and members of our PBS team that were involved in running reports and doing a bang-up job getting a project that we thought was going to take 4 weeks done in 2 weeks. So they were very efficient and it was impressive. As someone new to this library, having seen this type of work done in the past, they did a really good job. So that was great. We were working on recruiting for some different job openings. Our administrative assistant position, an IT position was also open, and there's a librarian one position that is open. So we're working on recruiting for those. What else? In terms of each individual department, everybody was busy with different projects. Our YA collection needed a lot of new stickers on items to make the collection work better and be more browsable. So that project was another huge project our tech team was working on. They did a great job. And materials that were in good shape from the large weeding project that happened you can see them in the room here. Actually, they were collected up and they're on these bookshelves ready for our March craft fair. So those will be for sale at that time. Our IT department was very busy with lots of help tickets. They're working on security cameras, also a few more being installed in the building. We've also had some issues with our RFID system, which is the automated system that takes the books in when you hand in a book, and that lets people check them out on their own, the self-check. So we're working on troubleshooting and resolving issues with that system to make sure it's working the way it's supposed to.
Got a new problem.
Well, some of the problems,
For a while.
yeah, some of the problems have been present for a while. But we've finally gotten to the bottom of what about the technology is not working right. So now we're working on a fix basically. So they should work even better than they currently in time. Our public services department had a very busy month. We had more in-person and email inquiries than usual for this time of year. Our study rooms are always popular and remain so. We had teams, our team volunteers completed over 40 hours of volunteer service. So that's great. And we've seen some other activity in the team room with new conversation boards and some really popular book menus that are now hanging in the J chapter book section in the kids' room. We had lots of great programs. I don't know if anybody got to attend the Lunar New Year celebration, but that was huge. We had about 200 people show up for that one, and it was very popular. People really enjoyed it. There was food, there were crafts, there was all sorts of great stuff. So that was a great big event. And that utilized multiple spaces, including the cafe and the Helderberg room. Our virtual author talks continue to be one of our most popular adult programs here. So that kind of virtual option is nice for people, I think, because they can tune in even if they can't get out of their PJs and make it to the library for an author talk. So that's good. So yeah, we had a lot of good programs this month. Came a little over. Our community engagement librarian has been working with Wildwood, the group home facility, to provide structured activities for folks who come. Oftentimes those folks just come and sit at computers and it's very solitary. It's not really social. And the point of these things is to give them social opportunities for folks in these groups. So this has been really great. She's been doing one activity a week and that's been really, really awesome. And she got a big thank you note from them for providing those opportunities. We have a little sad news, which is that some of our homebound delivery folks have passed away or moved out of the area. So we have openings. So if you happen to know anybody who needs homebound delivery service because of a mobility issue or a disability, let us know. It's going to be in our newsletter also calling for new folks that we can serve this way. All our social media pages were busy this month. And both Luann and I have been really interested in generative AI as a topic. So we've been exploring that here and having conversations about it around here. Some of our librarians also attended a session on AI during our last NILA conference. So we all got kind of inspired to see how we could use that in the library to save time, basically. We're working on the New York State Annual Report, a big project every year to collect all our statistics. So that's rolling right along. And we are working on our performance evaluation process around here. So they have begun, some have been completed. And we're working on making sure that those are constructive experiences for the individuals who are going through them, and everybody's supposed to get one once a year. We have instituted a practice of conducting background checks for all our new employees, which I think is a good policy. And we worked on a lot of recruitment, as I said, for admin assistant, IT specialist, and librarian one. And we've got accepted offers for 2 people. We didn't get their background checks in time to put them into the personnel actions for this month, but they will be in the personnel actions for next month. Amy Dubray is coming to us from the UHLS system as an admin assistant. She's fantastic. And we have someone who was working at St. Rose, as you know, is closing. So all of the jobs from that, there's a lot of great candidates on the market right now. And so we were able to scoop up one of those folks for our IT position. We've been working on a whole bunch of payroll software updates to fix glitches and problems that we were having with that software. So that is coming along, and I know that the staff is very pleased to not have to worry about some of the issues that were being caused by that problem. So we're getting that all straightened out. And we've been working with the cafe staff and the building and grounds committee on working with the cafe to integrate those services and function into our operations. That's where we're at. That's what we were working on. You can review all of the statistics I've included. Next month, I'm hoping to include a little bit more. These are aimed, I tried to give you guys past years where I could, so you can compare this month, to previous Januaries and past years. That is generally seen as the most valuable way to kind of see where we're at, because month to month statistics really vary over the course of the year. There's a lot of seasonal fluctuations that libraries see. So this is a good way of kind of getting that picture of how are we doing right now. So we saw some good upticks in circulation, and we've seen, like I said, we've returned to pre-pandemic levels for almost all our statistics at this point, and gone up a little bit from some of them. So that's exciting. Does anybody have any questions about any of the statistics or anything in my report?
Thank you.
Very good. And if anybody looks through these and says, I really would like to see statistics, if you're a nerd like me, on any particular topic that's not represented here, please shoot me an email and I will endeavor to include that in the next report. Okay.
So I have 2 documents here. I have to resolution to add you to under capacity as interim director to the exec signer at NBT Bank. It's a resolution. Do we need to vote on that?
I think that we can present it during the finance committee portion of it, but we can vote on it now if you would like.
Okay.
But that's where it came from.
I have to sign it as my capacity. The resolution reads.
Oh, so do you want that recorded now?
Do we want to do
Do
that?
the
after we
MOA
want
first.
The MOA first?
Yeah.
Could be-
Oh,
Be official first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yes.
I'm backwards.
No, well, since we have executive session at the beginning, it's very confusing.
Okay, so, for the purposes of personnel, we have the memorandum of agreement, which I believe was, previously voted upon, or no?
So we need to go into executive for the MOA and for the executive director's search.
Oh, okay. So in terms of the personnel actions, so we'll defer those till after executive session.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
yeah, that's fine. That works.
fine.
All right.
So we will enter, is there a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the potential appointment of a particular person to the director position.
So,
It is,
so
Mike,
moved.
Mike moved and you can second.
Okay,
Okay, all in favor of entering executive session for that purpose?
Aye.
Please say aye.
Aye.
All right, anyone opposed? All right, it passes 6:35.
I believe we want to keep the video going, right? We're just starting the recording.
Yeah, we're stopping the
Oh,
recording.
right, sorry. Yes, I'm gonna click the right
So
button.
it's, looks like it, yeah.
The red button.
There we go.
All right.
In preparation for the personnel actions, we first need a resolution.
I'll make a motion. Move that we board adopt this resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Gilman Public Library hereby one, appoints Nathaniel Hare to act as the director of the Gilman Public Library for an interim term commencing February 3rd, 2024 and continuing for no more than 6 months. 2, approves the agreement by and between the library and Mr. Hare dated February 15, 2024 in regard to such appointment. And 3, authorizes the payment of money therein.
I'll second. Okay, all in favor of the resolution, please, well, is there any discussion about the resolution? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right, so that was one.
And you have a copy of it. I gave you a copy, right?
No,
Of the, oh, it should be on the back page of that MOA, but here's a new one for you.
I don't think I
Try a
have.
little way.
Okay, cool.
So, you and I can both sign.
Yeah, we can sign it. Let that go. Cool. That's exciting. Thank you, everybody. All right.
Conveniently sitting next.
Yeah, that works out really well. Cool. Do you guys need, anybody need copies of this, or do I just file it where I would file it?
We have a copy, not signed, but
Okay,
we all have a copy.
I can scan it if need be, whatever you guys. But I'll put it with our records.
When you do the next board meeting, just include the MOA, it'll be part of the minutes.
So yeah, that makes sense.
And include a signed copy.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'll scan it. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so now we're going to the personnel actions. And I think we had some different, so we had a modification to that.
So, yeah, I would recommend that this be listed under appointments because that's what the MOA listed as yours.
Yep.
And then it might just be nice to list Tim's as a retirement.
Yeah, we can do that. So basically, we had discussed with our HR department here that for privacy reasons, we want to be a little bit less
Oh, okay.
explicit about things like that. So we, instead of using the scary sounding term termination for every single person who leaves the library for whatever reason, we thought separations was a better term. So that's just a recommended change that we had. So I
What's
don't
wrong
know.
with
if it-
retirement? That's what he did.
Yeah,
Well, I, maybe the idea is if you have multiple people leaving and there's some say retirement and the other one say, if you just use separation, it kind of isn't exposing that right as this public document. I can see the argument, I guess, but I don't know.
I feel like maybe out of respect for Tim's 10 years of service, we just go ahead and list this one as retirement and then make the change for next month.
Absolutely.
If that works. Yeah.
Separation just sounds a little strange to me, to tell you the truth.
We have the MOA is retirement, so.
Yeah.
I have a note here that I have that Mike made a motion to Marcia the second. Is that it, or is that still, or?
Which one?
That was from the resolution.
Oh, okay. Right, I must have marked it in the wrong place. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the the personnel actions consisting of the appointment of Nathaniel Heyer effective February 3rd, 2024 as interim director, and the retirement of Timothy Wiles effective February 2nd, 2024 as library director. Do I have a motion to approve the personal actions so stated? Bill? Do I have a second? Mike? Okay, all in favor of the personal actions, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Okay, passes. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. And I'm sending you all the revised version of this now.
Okay,
If
good.
that makes sense.
All right, so now we have, I don't know who's in charge of the treasurer's report for January 2024. Now we have a copy of it.
I had a conversation with George via email, so I can do as much as I can. With it is, and Jackie is she headed home?
Maybe she just didn't get the memo. We're back.
Oh, okay.
I was just with her, I'm not sure if she's coming back in.
Jackie, if you're on the line, oh, she's not because it's not screaming.
Let me just call her. Hold on.
I mean, yeah, I can go over the quick highlights of it right now, which is that George David, it's stamp of approval. He had a couple of questions about the report as a whole. One was the fact that our technology costs are up above what we expected them to, what they were anticipated. The variance was kind of high. And Jackie clarified that that was due to the RFID, which is the software that automatically checks in books. Doing the software for that, and a couple of other software purchases that are like one time a year. So they just happen to fall out of the normal line. You'll notice that it looks like our cash is up. We had asked this LPL from Capcom that's our cash and cash equivalents, and it's up kind of high. The board had recommended that we keep that low. That just has to do with a timing issue when the CDs matured and before we put them into new investments. And David had let us know at finance that happened. It just didn't happen until the very 1st of February, so it doesn't show up in here. That kind of ends my knowledge of what is unusual in this. Otherwise, A-okay. I probably am not going to be able to answer any questions, but if you have them, Jackie might be able to.
And she's not, I can see her now. She's coming.
Okay.
And we have also the check register.
Right.
From December 19th, 2023 to January 16th, 2024. And
I can address one thing that I asked about before from the check register, which is specifically there was a really large bill to UHLS that it's on page 2. That was for $23,000, which was above what we normally pay what we normally pay for our quarterly expenses to Upper Hudson. But that was not only our quarterly expenses, but it was also bundled with the cost of our overdrive materials. So that's why that check was higher. Is there anything from the financial reporting? Since George was not able to make it, I addressed the technology costs being over on the variance, and I addressed the issue with the cash looking larger because it was put into new investments at the start of the month. Is there anything else that would be important for us to know about?
You know, that was about the extent of it. We looked for the best rate we could get. And that was the farthest out we wanted to go before the rate started to fall.
so this was check register for February 2024, which is actually.
No, that's the one that was from Alicia's. This is from this thing. It should be there. That's, I think.
I might have the wrong one. Okay, so this is the one where there was, I think, Alicia had reconciled it all with all the checks that are in here.
Oh, that's what this one is. Yeah.
So, there was something, was there anything, stood out in the check register?
Not from me.
Anything? Okay. All right, so we need a motion to approve the check register for February 2024.
I'll move it.
Second,
Martha, is there any further discussion? All in favor of approving the check register? Or
Aye.
aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Approved as, okay, so, we previously shared the director's report. So we'll just go right to building committee reports. Alicia had to leave. I don't know if anyone else has any information about building and grounds.
I can report a little bit on that.
Okay.
So I know you guys know that there's a mural project that's being investigated. So finally, the guy who was communicating with us has been in touch with us. So Building and Grounds is working on that. We're also getting quotes for an exhaust system to move air out of the cafe outside. So we'll have quotes for the Building and Grounds Committee to look at hopefully soon so that they can bring that to the board for approval for the expense. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I know for sure.
About the roof back down the clock.
Yeah, so the insurance has been involved and is gonna cover it as far as I know. But Natalie, the one should Joe cover with that. She's been the one, the point person for that project.
Could you talk a little bit about the security problems
Sure.
and safety that you mentioned in your report?
Yep. So, you're talking about basically some of the happenings that have occurred here, basically, yeah. So we've had some troubling incidents with some patrons, unfortunately, who were not treating our staff with respect. There's been some, shouting and cursing and things like that. People who are just being aggressive. One gentleman was threatening another patron to take him out to the parking lot, beat him up, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So we've just had some unsavory things happening, and it seemed like it was all coming at the same time for some reason. So I don't know.
Different people?
Yeah, different people. I don't know what's in the water in January, but it's a rough month. We also had some incident reports. We have 2 incident reports for someone in our parking lot doing odd things, approaching a staff vehicle and being kind of aggressive, and also standing on the corner and flipping off people as they come into our parking lot. I mean, so we've had some very unpleasant, difficult kind of interactions. And so as a team, the staff and also the union has been helping us out. They have a safety officer who called me and I spoke with him about some stuff. We've been working on coming up with making sure we have procedures, that we're all clear about what our procedures are, that everybody knows that they can call the police if they feel uncomfortable. And we have issued some ban letters for a few people for their behavior. We also had a very unfortunate situation where a person was stealing our books off of our gift shelf and then selling them on Amazon. And this person managed to steal 30 or so of our items, we believe. Yeah, and those got sold on Amazon. So we did recover many of our materials, and the person was spoken with by the police, and this person was banned, so they won't be able to come back
It's a
for 6
patron?
months. Yes,
Patron?
yes.
How did you detect that?
Amazingly, one of the people who purchased a book was a librarian. And when she got a book that looked like a new book off of a bookshelf at a public library with no markings that it was, withdrawn, she said, "This seems not okay," and contacted us. So that's how we found out. We wouldn't have known exactly who it was or anything had it not been for that. And then thankfully we were able to get, who it was, and the police spoke with him. So, yeah, these issues have necessitated some conversations with the staff and everybody make sure our procedures are good, that there are, clear approaches to handling it if something really scary happens, basically. And we're still working on it. I mean, this is going to be an ongoing process to make sure that everybody feels safe and that we address these kinds of things. But we're all very, admin, the staff, everybody is very committed.
So don't our books have tags in them?
They do. They have RFID tags in them. We learned that our security gates were installed too wide. So there's a gap where it is not picking up the tags system.
So this guy got 30 out,
Yeah, by walking right.
figuring out what that was. Just out of curiosity, once you learned that this was happening, were the surveillance cameras useful in trying to see what, or
In this particular case, because we had such clear evidence from all of this other stuff, we didn't actually have to look at the footage. We just knew who it was and the police went and talked to him and got the books back. So we didn't need to do an investigation in this case. Obviously, if we had not known who it was that had stolen the materials, then we could have reviewed our camera footage and
They're
gotten that.
just walking out under their coats or.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that wasn't picked up
Right.
because the security gates were too wide.
Because the security gates are installed 13 inches wider than spec.
that means that if you walk through any place, they don't go off?
No, it means that if you walk right down the middle and you're holding a book right in the middle.
So how are we remedying this?
So IT is working on a fix. We're gonna have to, as you may have noticed, there is stanchions now when you enter the library, kind of dividing the traffic,
Yeah.
So that way folks everything's being detected as long as you're walking not right in the center. So that's what we're doing for now, but we are investigating a physical fix to this problem that will completely solve it.
Thank you, Nate.
Nate, I have a question.
Oh,
Were
yes.
there any legal consequences to this individual doing what they did?
I'm not sure if we can talk about a specific individual. So we're not pressing charges. I guess because this.
Why is that?
Because the police advised us that they wouldn't recommend it, basically. Based on the specifics of the case, when they spoke with the person, they suggested that it had to do with his mental and physical health, basically, was a factor. And they said, he's already been told he can't do this ever again. We recovered the materials. He's been banned. So that's why this was a choice that Tim made based on what the police had suggested to us.
So he's banned from our library,
He's banned from our library for 6 months.
but not the system.
Correct, because we can't ban someone from the whole system.
Right.
But we can,
Right.
we can tell people this is what happened. I mean, we didn't know if it was just an issue here or whether it was happening at other libraries. So we did reach out to the library community around here and say, has anybody else seen materials going missing? So other folks were alerted in our library field that this was an issue. Yeah.
And you said there was some restitution.
Yes, we got our materials, most of our materials back.
Oh, you got all the materials back.
Not all of them, but we got most of them back.
Oh, good.
So,
Did you?
oh, no, I just, one other question. I'm just curious if something like that happened again and we had materials going missing, it seems like particularly if they're coming off the new releases shelf, like how quickly or how is there any way that would be noticed? Is anybody kind of checking the shelf inventory against what's in the system
So,
as supposed to be
There
present?
was some, because of the volume,
Yeah,
there was some concern about it in the circulation department. So then when we got this news, it all kind of made sense.
okay.
The other thing is the RFID system, part of why it's so great that we have the system is that once it's working properly, if somebody walks out of the building and they haven't checked out the item, it actually triggers an alert. It tells us exactly what the material is that's leaving the building, so that we know exactly what time it happened and who, so once the system is working correctly, we'll have some really good tools at our disposal, basically. Yeah.
You don't have any rare materials, do we?
We have some, I would say, historical materials. I couldn't tell you based on my own lack of knowledge of the value of those items. But I know we have some older materials. We have a local history collection, and some of those titles might be worth something. I'm not sure how much though. Yeah, but those don't leave that room.
I was saying that they're probably not available for circulation.
Yeah, and you need to get access, special access to that room, basically.
But so they're not on an open shelf.
No, no. So they're not gonna walk out of here.
Anything from long range planning, Cory?
Sure. The Long Range Planning Committee met, the newly formed ad hoc Long Range Planning Committee, which I should specify, with new staff members on it. We met today. We confirmed that even without a director in place, that we are moving forward with surveying the staff and the community, because those are things that need to happen regardless and have less input from somebody. So we are in the process of creating the questions and the surveys that will go out. That's our next steps. You want me to keep rolling?
Yeah, well, we have the resolution.
Yeah, so that's coming out of finance, so I can address that now. So the finance committee was not able to formally meet. We did not have a quorum, and so, but we do have one suggestion that came from David and Jackie, which is that we add another, since Tim left, he was the signer. He was one of the check signers in-house from the staff. In addition to the officers, and currently Natalie is the only staff person that can sign. So we have a resolution, which I passed out at the beginning of the meeting, to add Nate to the checking account at NBT Bank. So I have that for us. I don't know if you want me to read it or if you want to read it. I think it's just the resolve part. So
Yeah, it's the resolution is that Nathaniel Heyer is in his capacity as interim director of Gilderland Public Library is hereby appointed as a check signer at NBT Bank. And it would be signed by our president, which is me. So, is there a motion to approve the resolution as stated? And seconded by Bill. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, it passes 7. So I will second it.
thank you. And I think that might be needed by the bank, just to confirm.
Yeah.
So
So
you can pass it on to Nate.
I'll take it, I'll give it to the bank.
The audit committee has not met. I communicated with George. We had not heard back from the attorney, but we did hear back from the attorney today that she is working on it. George has asked her to have it to us, the recommendation on the financing and whether or not that portion needs to be returned. Within 2 weeks, she indicated that as long as she got the paperwork from George, she can have it even faster. So we expect that process to be moving. And my fourth report in a row, and then I'm done. Upper Hudson Library System. So things are moving along as usual with Upper Hudson. I did want to state, which I may bring forward to the board at another time after I consult with the people here at Gilderland that are a part of this, is the Upper Hudson Library System currently has an equity challenge going on for all the libraries, the 36 libraries within the system. A portion of that is focused on board learning and recruitment. And I think after looking through some of the materials that it's something that we could really benefit from. And we have 2 members of the Gilderland Library staff that are on that. It is Seth and, oh my gosh. I really apologize now to the person that I am blanking on their name. But So I'm hoping that in the future, after some discussion with them, that maybe potentially they could come in and briefly talk to the board about what this looks like and how we might be able to participate in it. It's a really great program that was designed by the Equity Committee at UHLS and has librarians and staff from all over the system that are a part of it. Like I said, there's a specific board section that might be helpful. That's all I've got.
Well, thanks, Corey. So we have policies, and that's Dorina. Dorina is not here this evening. Anybody else want to speak to policy committee? Going on?
I don't believe we have.
Okay. And foundation, is there anything? Anyone have anything about foundation?
Yeah, I can just say that I was at their January meeting and they seem re-energized, kind of exciting. They're talking about doing big author events again here, big music events and things like that. And I think that's going to be really well received by people. So that's exciting.
Personnel, Mike.
The Personnel Committee did meet a week ago Thursday, and the primary topics were related to the negotiations, upcoming, discussions of the management confidential contracts, which are up for new term. So there's several issues were raised about some asks from the management confidential employees about the next round of contracts. Where I think I'm going to get more information from them on some figures and numbers and we had that. There was also a particular personnel issue, that would be something that could be only discussed in executive session, something particular, but that was discussed by the personnel committee. That's it. The labor management committee has not met.
Anything for board development, Barbara?
No, we have not met.
Okay.
Real quick, can I just, I think we used to, I think it was when Jenna was here, when there was committee meetings, there was like notices sent around of all the upcoming meetings to the whole board. And I don't think those have been happening. And so it's like, I think there's been like meetings of committees that I'm not on, that I didn't even know they were happening because things are only going to the committees. And I wonder if we had, am I right about that? Yeah.
I think so.
So maybe,
Yes.
maybe we should somehow figure out either somebody's responsibility just to pick up that piece, or that we as the committee chairs or whatever do something to kind of send something around when a meeting gets scheduled or something. Just because there's some meetings, I don't know if I would have been able to make them or not or whatever, but some meetings that happened that maybe I would have, tried to pop in and watch or be on, but I didn't know about them. So that's all.
Well, who sends out the schedules? Your office, right?
So it would normally be admin, and just us not
So
having.
why don't you
admin.
address it to that committee and the rest of to the board as well?
I think, I can't say that I've been getting all notices about everything. I don't know if I'm on every single list, so I'll make sure I'm on all the lists so that I can do that. Yeah.
I think Jenna would do it on Friday, like for the following week.
Yeah. Right.
At this committee, that committee will be meeting and,
Yeah.
set up board links.
And yeah, once we get our new admin assistant, assign that to her.
Yes.
She'll be starting on March 6th. Yeah,
And I know Amy and she's fantastic.
She is
So-
fantastic. Yeah. Yes.
Well, yeah, so I guess it's only a short-term problem for the next couple of weeks until we have the new person. But, all right.
So is there any old business?
It's not old business, but just a comment. I very much appreciate Raymond. But, and I think it's important we hear from public. But we heard the same thing we heard this summer.
There are a few libraries that have just created, their boards have just created public comment period policies. So it restricts people to 5 minutes maximum,
We
or
have that.
for instance, do we have that? Okay, maybe we just need to look at it then and share it with the board. I didn't even know we had
I
one.
mean, he's a really nice man.
What,
Yeah.
what is the,
He
is the,
raises
is the
some good
limit?
issues.
Is it 5 minutes in our policy? Do you know what?
Yeah, we do have a policy that
Yeah.
it should not go on.
Yeah.
And I think, I think that some of the things he's raised are very valid, and they're going to put him on.
And it might be helpful for us just to have that too, so we understand like what our board response is as a whole.
Because the other policy is that as a board, we don't respond to the comments.
I
And
agree
we
with that.
listen to what people say, and then the board meeting goes on. So I'm not in any way invalidating his points. I think they're very good points. So maybe we need to discuss them either through a committee system or at the board.
And I think it would be reasonable to kind of set a limit, given that we get so little public comment most of the time. It doesn't bother me so much that he's come these couple times and had a lot of things to say because we get so little, but we probably, it would be a smart thing to do to kind of set that expectation before it becomes a problem and we end up, having multiple people that want to come and people wanting to talk
It's
about.
basically what the same.
Oh, he was following up on
Yeah, he's-
things from last time, which is fine. I think if he wants to keep coming and following up on issues that are important to him over and over and over again, I think that's his right to do, but, anyway, yeah, no, I think,
I'm saying we should address them.
yeah, oh, yeah.
So it's already been addressed. They've been addressed in previous meetings too. I mean, it's not like it's new. If he listens to the meetings, he thought most of his questions would have been answered months ago.
What's the formal way of responding? Because I know
No,
Elise was on the phone with him for a couple hours and I gather that's not the protocol.
So,
right?
well, we,
Or is it?
we talked, so I don't know that we've kind of exactly formalized it. We discussed this last year and what we have said is as a policy, we're supposed to avoid directly addressing the comments right after they're made because it kind of hijacks the meeting and kind of goes, and also there may be things where people need to do kind of some due diligence and follow up and check with people and things beforehand. So you don't want people just launching into a brand new topic that somebody brings up that's their own hobby horse when we haven't had time to consider or whatever. But, there's a couple different things. Any board member can add something to new business. If there's something that comes up that they think is important and ought to be dealt with and ought to be addressed, that can always go to it. I think that the thought was that, and I think maybe it was Kathy when we had some comments before, I think the thought was that the president or the presiding person would, just make sure that whatever comments came in either got routed to a committee if they belonged in a committee, sent to the appropriate committee so that could deal with it, or if it was something where they could just contact the person back and say, oh, I see you asked a question about XYZ, I can give you the data or the things on it or whatever, but just to kind of, because we said, we don't want people to just feel like nobody's answering them. But I don't know that it's formalized. If we just kind of informally- That's what Elise seems like she
For
did.
2 hours, and she said at the
Right.
meeting after which she was going to call him and discuss all his issues.
But best practices would say that the senior person
Yeah.
would thank them for their comments and then no other comment.
And no other
then
comment.
if somebody felt passionately about something on the board, they could bring it up in new business.
So who was his primary, issue?
Could I just-
Sale?
Yeah, it's always.
Okay.
I just wanted to add that I think it's nice if the president responds or a committee chair to the issues that are raised. I know at the school board, if somebody writes a letter, then, or during public comment, then the superintendent or the board president, somebody will write a letter, thanking them for attending, and then, we'll look into the issue, or this is why we can't do this, or we can do this. So the more communication you have with the public, I think the better off we are.
Yeah, but not at the meeting. That was the point.
Yeah.
No.
You're absolutely right, Barbara, but not at the meeting. We do have a policy for this. They're limited in time and the person makes a comment, but we don't
I
engage.
think it's also good for the rest of the board to hear what is the response.
For sure.
Yeah. Now, Now, one of the things that he said is that the holiday celebrations are at the desire of the director. And I'm not so sure that that's true. It seems to me that the board could have a role in that.
No,
Uh,
talked about this ad
Yeah, we
nauseam.
did, we
Yeah,
did.
We've talked about this ad nauseam,
We really said it was the prerogative of the directors
and the staff too.
and the staff, and I think the idea was to have like maybe decorations like snowflakes or like colorful, like holiday colored flags or something. You know, I think the idea of having overtly Christmassy or holiday decorations, maybe that's just not the preference of the staff and the library. And that's okay. I mean, as long as they have some kind of maybe festive type of decorations. I don't know, something like that. I mean, I think that's what we've discussed at length before. So, and I think holidays are celebrated pretty much at home, you know, with decorations that you
Not
want,
just at
or whatever you celebrate. I mean, it doesn't need to be celebrated at the library.
I mean, look at the phenomenal turnout that we had for the Chinese New Year. I mean, that's wonderful. The more to me of that you can do, the better for the community. But I just wanted to let that lay to rest then.
Sure. Well, I think that there have been a number of cultural celebrations at the library. I mean, I think that's something that is often been done, so. Oh, all right. Any new business? Any further public input? Um, is there anything further? Anyone wants to discuss?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Oh,
Sorry.
All right,
Sorry,
all in
Chad.
favor of
I'll throw you in there. if you really want.
please.
Anyone opposed? Better not be. Okay, all right, so we are adjourned as of 7:62.
Yeah, I would take this.
Stop the
Thank
recording.
you.
Oh.
Bye, Barbara.